So I think my biggest problem overall with the Mavericks wanting to trade Luka because of his conditioning issues is the fact that they're really not even issues at all, and they never have been. Even if Luka's struggled to stay in shape, which he has not really, it hasn't really shown much, and it hasn't really mattered because Luka's always pretty much been a top three player. He's been a top three player in the league for probably 5 years at this point, almost 5 years at this point. Not once has it been a problem, and you could never really tell, even if it was, because he's dominating the NBA and has been for so long now. For the life of me, I can't understand how the conditioning issues are a problem now, because even if they were, like I said, he's dealt with it just fine. He's played himself into shape every single season. When it comes down to it, he's been the best player in the playoffs every single year. He just proved that he can be the best player on a finals level team, a team that can win it all. But now the conditioning issues come up. Now it's a problem that he's coming into the season kind of slow and sluggish and not super in shape. I just don't buy it. Even if it's the actual reason, I think it's a stupid reason. I don't ever think there's a time where you need to trade Luka Doncic. I don't think there's ever a scenario where trading Luka Doncic is the answer to your problems. How does this make things easier for the Mavericks? If anything, it makes it harder because you have Anthony Davis, who is very injury prone, one of the more injury prone stars in the league in recent memory. And you just took a huge hit offensively when your defense was okay enough. Now you have a gaping hole in your offense that what are you going to do? A Luka Doncic size hole in your offense. What are you going to do now? Who is going to be able to replicate that level of offensive creation? Nobody. Kyrie has never been a player who can do what Luka does, even close to what Luka does offensively. Yeah, Kyrie can score, he can shoot, but we're talking about the level of offensive firepower, or I should say, the level of offensive creation that Luka possesses. That, again, the only other player who can do what Luka does is Nikola Jokic, from an offensive standpoint, from a purely offensive creation standpoint. When it comes to pressuring defenses, scoring points, passing the ball, creating for his teammates. No one else in the league can do what Luka does except for Nikola Jokic. So you remove that from the Mavericks, you have a huge problem. You think you solved a problem, but you just created an even bigger problem. You may have solved the problem, I don't know, but by extension and by exchange, you just created an even bigger problem now. So whatever problem you had before pales in comparison to the problem you have now, which is that you have no offense. Your offense is going to be trash now. I don't know what I don't. It's just puzzling. It really is just so confusing. And Nico Harrison said, "Oh, time will tell if this makes us better." We don't need time to know that this does not make you better. You didn't get the best player. You didn't get a player who makes your team better in a sense, or I should say, you didn't get a player who really moves the needle for you championship wise. Anthony Davis is not a needle mover at this point in his career. He will only be if he just decides to become 85% of what he was in the bubble, which essentially was the best defender in the league and a top three offensive player. Essentially in the bubble is what he was. He was amazing in the bubble. So if he's 80% of that, 85% of that, maybe we could have a conversation. Maybe it's like, okay, you know what? This could work. But until that happens, if it even happens at all, because it's basically guaranteed to not happen, this is a disaster.